Joining us from Tallahassee, Florida, Benjamin Crump, a lawyer representing the family of Michael Brown. So where am I going wrong here, Counselor?
Well, you said a lot there, Bill. And the one thing I think about when you talked about the people who were protesting in the aftermath of the decision who were nonviolent and peaceful, well, they have every right to exercise their First Amendment rights. Nobody condones violence, and nobody should condone violence in any way, fashion, or form.
Well, Michael Eric Dyson did. In his column, he basically said those protesters had the perfect right, and President Obama was a traitor to his race for not sticking up for him. That's number one. And number two, if you, no, Counselor, you're an officer of the court, and I believe a very honest man. If you're protesting, you, Benjamin Crump, and you see somebody torch a store, set a store on fire, you don't stay there. You walk away from that protest. I know you walk away.
Well, and I'll say this, Mr. O'Reilly, I think everybody has a responsibility to try to uphold the law and tell the police to uphold the law, as well as people who are protesting. You can't break the law and think that's right. Just like in the Bundy case in Nevada, a lot of people said him breaking the law, they called him a hero, and then
they were wrong.
They don't.
Yeah, but you yourself would not have stayed.
He owed the government $1 million.
You yourself would not have stayed once the first match was tossed into the store or the first window broken. Now, let me get on to.
I would not, Mr. O'Reilly.
I know, and that's the message I want to get out.
Okay.
That's the way to stop this. The good protesters, they leave right away. Okay.
Well, the only thing I wanted to say, Mr. O'Reilly, was this here. The people who are protesting peacefully, when they see that stuff happening and they see police around, we had to assemble law enforcement in Missouri, they expected the police to handle that, but they still wanted to voice their concern.
Well, they can voice it somewhere else at another time. But don't stay there enabling these people. Now, I've gone out of my way to be fair and sympathetic to the Brown family. I think you know that. I think you know I have. I'm very disturbed by the stepfather, a man named Lewis Head, who called for the burning of Ferguson, Missouri. And I'm not going to play the soundbite again. Everybody saw it. You said he was emotional. I think you're right. Absolutely right. But that's not an excuse. So now I'm looking at Mr. Head and maybe others around Michael Brown and saying, what kind of an example is this teenager given? I don't know whether you know this, but Lewis Head, his stepfather, is a convicted drug dealer twice. Did you know that?
I was not aware of that, no.
Yes. He's got 2 trafficking in narcotics convictions, and he served 5 years in the penitentiary in St. Louis, in Missouri. I'm worried about this whole story, that it's not really getting out what happened here, Counselor. I don't think we know at the family, and I don't think we know the pernicious influences on Mr. Brown, and I'm worried about it. And I want to hear your side.
Well, Mr. O'Reilly, it's indefensible what Mr. Head said that night, even though he was very emotional. They had just heard the decision that the killer of their his unarmed stepson was not going to be face trial by jury. He was emotional, but that's no excuse. Asking people to do violent acts, irresponsible acts, is indefensible, and I won't come and try to dignify that in any way, and that's a terrible message to send. But Michael Brown's mother and father have been very consistent, Mr. O'Reilly, and asking for peace and asking people to act responsibly in the face of overwhelming emotion. And with that said, they can't control what others do, family members or friends, but they have been very consistent, and they're the people who, if anybody would have an emotional outburst, you would think it was them, but they have not done that. They, in fact, have been the opposite. They've been trying to be calm and say, even though it's very painful, it hurts tremendously, and our heart is broken, we're still asking people to be peaceful, and let's try to find something positive in this terrible situation, like how we can be transparent in the future.
All right, Counselor. We always appreciate you coming on. Thank you very much. Next on the rundown, now the Ferguson